Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty RoundTable Radio Talk Show.
Will we ever have a comeuppance for the Southern Poverty Law Center? Maybe. Justice will prevail. Is he just a drunk? We'll talk about it. What about price fixing by Amazon? We'll talk about it. I'm grateful that talking to Lance Migliaccio of the Big Mig, thebigmig.com. Check out his incredible radio show on the weekends. Check out his videos every day. YouTube, Rumble, Truth Social, X. They're everywhere, baby. Spread the word. Anyway, doing a great job with his Crypto Power Hour as well. Anyway, check out the Big Mig. Great award-winning TV news show. George and Lance do a phenomenal job. Lance with me. We were joking before the break, talking about this issue of, hey, if you could just commit any crimes, what crimes would you commit? And it's a joke. We're taking a page out of the old Rush Limbaugh playbook. I'm demonstrating the absurd by being absurd. This is kind of a deal. And so we're just kind of saying, hey, and I'm glad that Lance decided he didn't want to abuse women and do all that kind of stuff. He just wants to, do some price fixing and just get rich on it, So
hang on a minute.
Happy about that.
I just got off the phone with Nancy Pelosi. I just got to put a put call in on some NVIDIA stock. Hang on a minute.
That's good. Yeah, she's taking care of business, and she's giving Lance a little bit of.
You give me some stock tips. Well, she beat Warren Buffett.
The wrong words go in the right ear. I know you've been lying to me.
Yeah, she beats the S&P 500. She even beats the Omaha Oracle.
But she doesn't beat Hillary Clinton, though. Hillary Clinton's cattle trading deal was even better than Nancy's.
Yeah, she's done extremely well. But Hillary Clinton's, she gets access. She gets direct money from USAID. Oh, by the way, I want to add that to my list. I also want some foundational funding from USAID. And just, Sam, I also put in the order for one of the magic money computers. That way we can just give our staff whatever we want. Just type it into the Treasury computer. Boom, it's sent right out.
Now you're talking.
We also have a magic money computer for Liberty News Radio.
Just have the bot add zeros. Start with a positive number, add zeros.
Exactly.
No, it's strange the way this all happens, folks. But I want to really get back to this Zelensky and this professional stolen art, Lance.
We got to play the clip for the audience because the audience has got to see the painting because it sounds impossible what we just described, doesn't it?
All right, here it is.
On March 22nd, 3 paintings by French masters Cézanne, Renoir, and Matisse, worth more than $10 million, were stolen from a museum near the Italian city of Parma. The theft has since been investigated by Italy's Carabinieri and the Cultural Heritage Protection Unit. Surprisingly, less than a month after the heist, one of the stolen paintings, A Cup and Plate of Cherries by Paul Cézanne, appeared in one of President Zelensky's videos.
Шановні українці, українки, коротко про цей день. ППО буде новий підхід до застосування.
Presumably recorded on April 16th, the video shows Zelensky addressing Ukrainians, with a stolen painting appearing on a wall directly behind his back. The video was published on the official website of the President of Ukraine, but has since been removed. This is a rare case of a stolen painting reappearing in public. Chris Marinello, founder of Art Recovery International, says that a very small percentage of stolen art is ever found.
5 to 10% of all art that's stolen is ever recovered, which is why we need to start focusing more on prevention.
He also confirms that stolen art often ends up in countries where the rule of law is weak.
They move them on through Belgium or Eastern Europe, countries where due diligence is not often practiced as it is in the West.
There you go. I just don't even know how to respond to this because, again, this is the president that we supposedly backed telling you, hey, Zelensky's the good guy, got to stop bad guy Putin from going after him. And all this is going to do is heighten tensions. It's going to let Russia dig in even further. I know people say I would pick the Vladimir Putin side. I wouldn't pick anybody's side, personally. I'd just, do as the founders recommended, stay the heck out of it. And I'd just go from there. And what I'd do is stop price fixing everywhere. But we got price fixing all over the place. The latest one to take a hit for that, Amazon. Lance?
Yeah, as if we're not already paying enough. The tariffs have hit us. Inflation's hit us. Now we got to think about Jeff Bezos, the multi-billionaire having his people over at Amazon price fixing. So the California AG, Rob Bonta, It says they're basically working to make our life even more unaffordable. So they got a hold of internal emails show Amazon is working to do this. These are newly unsealed court filings allege the company worked with suppliers to nudge prices higher at rival retailers. So it looks like they want to keep Amazon looking cheap while blocking real price competition. In one example, out of the emails, Amazon allegedly raised the prices of certain dog treats and then urged the manufacturer to make sure retailer Chewy, which is a big online pet retailer, maybe the biggest, followed suit with a vendor email letter celebrating that the price immediately went up on Chewy. And then there's another example of them working with Levi's on Dockers. And they assured Amazon that Walmart had partnered with us to boost the price to $29.99. Now, that was a few dollars higher than Amazon's posted price. So Amazon wants to seem like they're the lowest price, but the only way they're going to do that is by making sure that all the other retailers are overcharging us, Sam, and raising their prices. Pretty lousy move by Amazon, not a good look. Why Bezos rolls around in his $150 million yacht,
and while he's launching satellites into the wrong orbit and everything else at our expense.
Yeah, Amazon is a dangerous entity, and people a lot of times, we're all hooked on it for one reason or another. We constantly use Amazon in our house. It's convenient. You've got free shipping. But of course, is it really free shipping when they're overcharging you for the product?
And is it free shipping when you pay basically this, membership fee and everything else? And, they get their money. Trust you me, they're not just passing you free stuff, folks. That isn't the truth.
Have you noticed Amazon lately?
Because I have a lot of IT involvement with Amazon in terms of Amazon sellers and everything else, Lance. So I've got some inside knowledge about a lot of this.
Oh, interesting.
One of the things that Amazon does too, just so you all know, they have two programs. They have a Seller Central and a Vendor Central program. And they pit those two programs against one another to do a lot of what you're talking about. So normally there's what's called MAP, and that's minimum advertised price that you're allowed to sell something for.
Yeah.
And nobody else is allowed to violate MAP. But Amazon violates it with impunity. And so they force people to go down to where they get, they control the buy box that way, et cetera. And then they force it to go up, and they absolutely manipulate prices to their advantage. When it goes down, they take the lead and sell a ton of stuff. Then they force it to be up and slow down the sales so nobody else can compete. And then they do it again, and they do it again, and they do it again. And they have this roller coaster intentional reality that lets them make big money on the spread of what they can manipulate at the buy box, just so you know.
What's even tough, just for the audience, you're getting big box names here. Home Depot named in here, Best Buy's named in here, Walmart. So this, you have to look at it. Those are big retailers that everybody seems to use, and it's really affecting all of us. And I don't like it. And I hope that Amazon is shut down and they have to pay a massive amount of fines, maybe to teach them a lesson. It's not fair. It's not reasonable. The American public's already suffering. Enough is enough in my book.
Amen. All right, I want to get to this, but I know you got to fly to do your next show, Lance, but I want to get to this before you do. FBI Director Kash Patel files $250 million lawsuit against The Atlantic. They claim that he's drinking, that he's got all kinds of misconduct and everything else. The Atlantic says they stand by their story, citing over 24 anonymous sources. The White House and Kash Patel deny the allegations. But now an Obama-appointed judge tosses Kash Patel's defamation lawsuit against them and says, hey, you know what? This idea that he spent more times in nightclubs and in drinking than anything else, that's just hyperbole, so don't worry about it. So we're not even going to get to the bottom of the facts on this thing anymore. We're just going to say, hey, you can say whatever you want about a big, famous leader. Well, they do that to me, too. They say I'm nobody when they want to attack or when they want to not let me get any, coverage. I'm just a nobody. But then when they attack me, then they come back and say, oh, he's a rock star. You can't touch him. Or, we can say whatever we want to about him. The double standard is the problem, and this is happening to Kash Patel. Now, I think Kash Patel probably is drinking too much. I think he's been compromised. I don't say that lightly because I endorsed him. But all we hear is nothing but trouble from the guy. I don't hear anything that he's doing that makes a big difference. Now, Trump said we're going to have arrests relating to election fraud soon. Haven't seen it. Now that's Kash's claim. Still haven't seen it. So they've lost credibility in my book, but I think this story deserves to be driven to ground and the facts to come out. It's not going to now.
You know, look, transparency is not a word I use in the same sentence with the judiciary. At this point, I see a lot of weaponization. It all comes down to who appointed them. You're supposed to leave your bias at the door when you put the robe on. That's not what's happening. I don't like that part. So for Kash, I agree with him. The defamation suit, I don't know the truth of the matter. Listen, Kash is a young guy, and I don't really personally care what he does in his personal time, unless, of course, it exposes him to being compromised. At the end of the day, he said he was going to deliver. Government Gangsters was very clear in its architecture of how he was supposed to clean things out. And again, the defamation suit, if it's true, then I'll say that a weaponized judge did the wrong thing.
Start arresting people, Kash. Get it done, buddy. Thanks, Lance.
Are you watching what's happening in our country and asking, what can I do? Join the John Birch Society in Salt Lake City, June 6th, for a powerful one-day conference. The day includes a host of respected speakers, 2 meals, and meaningful connections. You'll gain clarity on the issues and walk away with practical steps you can take to your community. Reserve your seat today at jbs.org/SLC26. That's jbs.org/SLC26.
Why don't we say to the government writ large that they have to spend a little bit less? Anybody ever had less money this year than you had last? Anybody ever having a 1% pay cut? You deal with it. That's what government needs, a 1% pay cut. If you take a 1% pay cut across the board, you have more than enough money to actually pay for the disaster relief. But nobody's going to do that because they're fiscally irresponsible. Who are they? Republicans. Who are they? Democrats. Who are they? Virtually the whole body is careless and reckless with your money. So the money will not be offset by cuts anywhere. The money will be added to the debt, and there will be a day of reckoning. What's the day of reckoning? The day of reckoning may well be the collapse of the stock market. The day of reckoning may be the collapse of the dollar. When it comes, I can't tell you exactly, but I can tell you it has happened repeatedly in history when countries ruin their currency.
All right, back with you live, ladies and gentlemen. Kash Patel sues for $250 million, The Atlantic. Wow, a defamation lawsuit. They claim that, hey, there's over excessive drinking and professional misconduct. Kash says not so. The Atlantic says they stand by their story, citing over 24 anonymous sources, while White House officials and Kash Patel deny the allegations. Now, I don't know how the White House would know, but there you go. Now, the Obama-appointed judge just ruled, tosses Kash Patel's lawsuit, and basically says, hey, you know what? This idea that he spends more time in nightclubs is just hyperbole. Don't worry about it. Now, I find that really interesting, ladies and gentlemen, because, again, now we're not going to get to the facts in the case. Is it true or not? You'll never know. The judge tossed it. Kash says it's not true. White House says it's not true. The Atlantic claims it is true and says they have 24 anonymous sources. And now, if the judge just tosses it out and says, hey, don't worry, it's rhetorical hyperbole, then, hey, you can say that. Now, this highlights so many things. It highlights primarily that you can say things about famous people and write things and promote things, even if they're categorically false, different from the average American. The average American has protections against libel, slander. But if you're a famous person, then you don't have those protections. And so poor Kash Patel is suffering from this. I bring it up because that's what they do to me all the time. They say I'm a nobody. My influence is just nil. But yet then if I get ready to sue, and I've really got ready to sue the Rolling Stone magazine and Southern Poverty Law Center and some of these other clowns that are dishonest. And the problem is when I try to do that, attorneys just tell me, Sam, I hate to tell you this, but you know what? You're a celebrity. And I'm thinking, no, I'm not. Come on, I don't have any celebrity status. But the fact is, you can document that, hey, I'm well known. I do have some degree of fame. Now, I'm not trying to promote that I'm famous. What I'm trying to get across to you guys is they can split those hairs and they can win on that. They can say, Sam, You're famous. You've been a syndicated talk show host for 30 years. You do radio and TV. You're well known. You're about to publish a book. You publicly speak nationally. You've been written up in some of the biggest news articles of the day. The Southern Poverty Law Center has you on their hate list. You certainly are larger than life. It's just like, wow. Well, I've been attacking the Southern Poverty Law Center for decades because they're dishonest thugs. And now over 20 U.S. state attorney generals have called the Southern Poverty Law Center not credible. The FBI has called the Southern Poverty not credible for a long time, the Southern Poverty Law Center. I've told you they're dishonest and clowns, and we've forced them, Sheriff Richard Mack and I forced them to retract. They lied about us, got caught. We threatened to sue. They retracted. So we got a big history with these people. Well, here's the interesting latest headline from the Southern Poverty Law Center, or from the government regarding the Southern Poverty Law Center. Southern Poverty Law Center accused of bankrolling hate. Wow, I thought those guys were the guys that documented everybody's hate. No, they're accused now of bankrolling hate by who? The Justice Department. The Justice Department now indicts the SPLC on charges of funding extremist activities. This is interesting because it wasn't too long ago when we had a police headquarters that got attacked and firebombed and everything else in Georgia, and the Southern Poverty Law Center attorney was involved in that attack, right? Anyway, the Department of Justice has now charged the SPLC with 11 counts, including wire fraud, money laundering, alleging that the nonprofit funded millions to agents within extremist groups to foster racial conflicts, even though their mission is to stop them, despite claims of countering such threats. So do you get what I'm saying to you? The Southern Poverty Law Center now has 11 counts filed by the Justice Department claiming that they say they're against hate, highlighting all these hate groups. It turns out they're funding hate. Wire fraud, money laundering. I wonder if racketeering is going to be part of it, huh? I don't know, but I'm just saying it's very interesting. Our dear friend Matt Staver, for a long time over at Liberty Counsel, has been fighting the Southern Poverty Law Center. And they've got lawsuits where they've even won, but you can't stop the big behemoth, the Southern Poverty Law Center, because they have so much money and so many attorneys. It's not even funny. They have money in offshore accounts. They have all kinds of things. But now good news is the DOJ is calling them to account. Will we really see accountability here? Don't know. Hope so. I can pray, right? I can pray that we get accountability on this thing. But the Southern Poverty Law Center has been evil for a long time. They've had me on multiple hate groups. They've attacked me and Sheriff Richard Mack and almost every host or co-host I have on the radio and TV with me as we're the hate groups. I mean, back in the day, even in like 96, when I owned a radio station, they documented me as one of the largest hate groups in the state of Utah. Turned out it was just me, just Sam Bushman. See, and that's how they get away with it. They attack me relentlessly and say I'm a nobody and I don't matter. But because I'm on that hate map, because they tell you that, well, they actually filed before Congress, they put on the congressional record 2 years in a row that Sam Bushman and James Edwards, one of my syndicated talk show hosts, thepoliticalcesspool.org, that together were the nexus of hate and anti-government in America. Well, when you put that on the congressional record and we're the nexus, and then you write me up in the Southern Poverty Law Center documents and hate groups, and then you promote that through Rolling Stone magazine and other huge articles, then you say, see, Sam's a rock star. We can libel and slander him all we want to. Anyway, SPLC accused of bankrolling hate. Charges filed from the Justice Department to the Southern Poverty Law Center, 11 counts. Couldn't happen to a nicer group. And I really pray that Kash Patel and company digs in on this one, because then, Kash, you'll gain some respect from me, buddy. I'm just telling you right now, that's what we've got to get done. And I commend the Justice Department, and I pray we have the truth. Matt Staver, a dear friend over at Liberty Counsel and company, have been fighting this for decades. You know, they're claiming if you support God, family, or country, you're a hate group. And it's got to stop. These people have been tied into government, media, and everybody else has promoted the Southern Poverty Law Center. If they say that somebody's a bad guy, then they're a bad guy. Using the Southern Poverty Law Center hate list as a weapon against all of us. It's time for it to stop. Anyway, I just thought I'd bring that to your attention. That's a piece of good news. I got some other interesting news that really is shocking, but not so much. We all want the Epstein files and the truth on Jeffrey and company, right? Donald waffling on it back and forth, doesn't know where he stands. Anyway, hopefully we'll get more on this than less. That's what Tucker Carlson, that's what Nancy Mace, that's what, Green, that's what Massey. A lot of people want the truth on this thing. It's really created a divide in MAGA, right? Well, now Harvard scrambles as new released Jeffrey Epstein documents reveal broader university links. New released government documents show Jeffrey Epstein maintained deeper and longer running ties, or connections, if you will, with Harvard faculty than previously disclosed. So who covered that up? Harvard? It now prompts a renewed university program that is intensifying scrutiny of different figures at the university. Lawrence Summers is one of them. Martin Nowak is another one of them, right? Both previously tied to sanctions and or resignation over their association with Jeffrey Epstein. Now that's a big deal, right? That's a huge deal. So Harvard, even after Jeffrey Epstein's conviction as a pedophile, even after he did time in jail, he just went right back to Harvard, fostered those relationships, and they were all too willing to welcome Jeff right on back. And you're going to find that it's not just universities that were all too willing to do that. You're going to find out that governments and universities and all kinds of large organizations and big philanthropists and people with money, if you're allowed to dig into that, you're going to find out how deep that cabal, how deep and wide that really is. And buddy, it's disaster. But again, forget Jeff for a second. Once he's dead or gone or removed or whatever you want to call it from this pedophile crime syndicate, as you know, when a crime boss leaves, gets taken out, whatever, a gang member, gang leader, crime boss, whatever, pedophile ring, Pizzagate, whatever you want to call this thing, somebody else just jumps in and fills the seat. That happens in governments. Think about Iran. We took out all their leaders, remember? All they do is have somebody else pop up and take their place. It happens in all these organizations. So who popped up and took the place of Jeffrey? And is the organization continuing its abuse, manipulation, control, influence worldwide still? See, those are my questions, and no one seems to be discussing or answering those questions at all. And that's really my big concern here. Somebody should be answering those questions. Somebody should be telling the truth. Somebody should be digging and looking into it. But you know what? When you dig into Pizzagate back in the day, anybody who dug into it got literally attacked and shut down. Ben Swan, my dear friend, that happened to. And so he had to drop it. They claimed Pizzagate was just clown show stuff. But no, now it turns out that Pizzagate has ties to Epstein and everything else. And so you dig in, and the further you dig in, the more you go, whoa, this is serious business, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, there you have it, man. Some hard-hitting news the networks refuse to use. That's who we are. That's what we're known for. Telling the tale of truth. We use the supreme law of the land, the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights. That's our country. The Constitution should be the political religion of our nation. I am Sam Bushman, and on Liberty Roundtable Live, we bring you news the networks refuse to use, and we promote God, family, and country, and we protect life, liberty, and property. That's who we are. That's what we do every day on your radio and TV. We're on YouTube, Rumble, X, Truth Social, just about everywhere. We're also on LibertyRoundTable.com, LibertyNewsRadio.com, and all podcast services. Check it out, spread the word, and God save the Republic of the United States of America.